Rafael Nadal's story is probably the most inspirational one in tennis history. With that many injuries, it's a miracle that he's still playing, let alone winning. The Spanish gladiator has more Grand Slam titles than any other male player in the history of the sport, and he's just joined Roger Federer on another remarkable record. We'll look at that record and how also Nadal's eager to get back to winning ways in 2023. Let's get started, starting with Rafa joins Roger for another longevity record. Given his struggles with injuries, it's astounding that Rafael Nadal is still a top 5 player in 2023 at 36 years of age, and that's actually a record too, as no one in the history of the sport has ever ended the year with more top 5 finishes in men's tennis than Nadal, as he joins Roger Federer for most top 5 finishes with 16. Roger Federer was the first to make it to 16 as he raised the bar, leaving Jimmy Connors behind at 14, and as he's done so many times in his career, Federer raised the bar of what was possible in tennis. Now, the trail he blazed has been found by his greatest rival and dear friend Nadal, who notched his 16th year-end top 5 season as the 2022 season came to a close. It just goes to show what a splendid career Rafa's had, who got his first year-end top 5 season back in 2005, aged only 19. In his breakthrough season, Nadal had managed to win a major along with 4 Masters 1000 titles, so he knows what he needs to do to remain competitive on this stage. For 11 years, he didn't budge from the top 5 finishes, but lost ground in 2016 before bouncing back in 2017. But now with Federer retired, Nadal has the perfect chance to break another Roger Federer record if he can maintain his consistency in 2023 and finish in the top 5 one more time. Moving on, it won't be easy for Rafa. Even though there's a lack of competition in the record he's chasing, Rafael Nadal won't have it his way in 2023. As he would have known after a tough 2022 campaign, every year from this point onwards is going to get tougher and tougher. Despite winning the first 2 majors of the year in 2022, Nadal had a very tough campaign, struggling with injuries and needing injections ahead of every match during his run in Paris. After that, he had to contend with a 7mm abdominal tear that still couldn't hold him back, as he defeated Taylor Fritz in Wimbledon but forced him to withdraw ahead of his clash against Kyrgios. And if 2022 is anything to go by, 2023 is going to be even tougher. Nadal ended the 2022 season playing only 9 games in the second half to end the season, and that's why he couldn't fight for the year-end #1 honors. With the competition on tour getting tougher with every passing year, it will take something truly out of the ordinary, once again, from Rafa to end the season in the top 5. And he'll definitely fear Novak Djokovic too, who's on his tail not only in the majors, but also in the most year-end top 5 seasons record too. The Serbian star has managed 15 seasons in the top 5, and with age on his side, he'll fancy his chances to go ahead of Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, both in the next couple of years. Now let's look at Rafael Nadal's eagerness to get back to winning ways. After enduring a tough end to the 2022 season, Rafael Nadal is fully rested and prepared for what could be yet another historic year for the Spanish champion. He knows it won't get any easier this year, but it's not like he's ever had it easy or wanted it easy anyway. Ahead of the inaugural United Cup, Nadal took part in a news conference and underlined his goals for 2023. The 36-year-old revealed that his main goal for now is only to regain positive feelings on the court and to be competitive, and he hoped to pull that off starting with the United Cup. It's a good chance for the pros to get in shape ahead of the 2023 Australian Open, and Nadal said that he's just focused on having a competitive level, which he'll definitely need if he wants to defend his Australian Open crown. Nadal also added that he's ready to be competitive, but also cautioned with a little "we'll see." It's textbook Nadal, just the way he prepares himself. He doesn't sell himself or his fans any dreams. Nadal knows that he needs to play at a certain level to win, and if he's on top of his game, he can defeat anyone, and that's good enough, but also remains realistic in his ambitions, knowing far too well that anything is possible on a tennis court. With that much experience and playing time, you'd be surprised if Rafa wasn't realistic. More importantly, positive vibes are needed after a poor end to 2022. It seems that Nadal is focused on the right things at least. The end to 2022 was a tough one for the 36-year-old, as he struggled to gain any momentum, and the lack of wins meant that he missed out on a golden chance to finish the season with a top-ranked finish. Nadal lost 2 of the 3 matches in the ATP Finals, exiting the competition in the group stages after losing to Taylor Fritz and Felix Auger-Aliassime in back-to-back games. But it was just a continuation of his poor form, which carried on since his Wimbledon exit. Rafa was knocked out of the Cincinnati Masters by Borna Coric, who defeated him after a sensational first-set tiebreak, and then Nadal failed to get any momentum in his first 2 matches at the US Open, and eventually lost in the round of 16 in 4 sets to Frances Tiafoe. Even the historic doubles match that Nadal played alongside his greatest rival, Roger Federer, in the Laver Cup, ended in defeat, and he had to settle for another first-round exit at the Paris Masters at the hands of Tommy Paul, who came from behind to defeat the 22-time major winner. Maybe more than injuries, there were other off-court distractions for Nadal. After all, he became a father for the first time in his life, and that's a completely understandable distraction action. Now though, it seems that he's ready to go roaring again in 2023. Up next, 2023's not been too kind to Rafa. So far though, Rafa's had a bit of a rough start to his 2023 campaign. Playing in the inaugural 2023 campaign, Nadal's had to contend with a bit of a rough start. His first involvement as a player came against Britain, when he had to play a singles match against Cam Norrie at the Ken Rosewall Arena. Rafa produced a decent high level of tennis to win the first set, but Norrie's comeback was a little too much for the Spanish champion, who couldn't sustain his level and lost the match in 3 sets. Some would argue that this match was played on the 31st of December, so it doesn't necessarily count in 2023, but it's still part of the 2023 ATP calendar, right? Moving on, Rafa lost his next singles match too, as Spain lost 3-2 to Australia in the Group D in Sydney. Playing against the home team can be tough, so we don't blame Rafa because Alex de Minaur was always going to be hard to play against in Australia. However, Rafa would be beating himself up on the fact that he, once again, won the first set but couldn't sustain that level as he succumbed to a loss in 3. Adding to that, is Rafa's abdominal injury still a concern? According to Simon Briggs, the tennis correspondent for The Telegraph, Rafael Nadal's battle with his abdominal injury seems to be plaguing his 2023 campaign. It's very much in line with what the commentators observed while seeing the 36-year-old in action, who noted that this wasn't the Nadal we were used to seeing, as he looked out of sorts. The stats would back that up too, as Nadal hit 40 unforced errors and lost the final 10 points of the match, which is very uncharacteristic of Rafa. No shade on de Minaur, but we're used to seeing Nadal fight for every point. It's unlike him losing 10 points, that too, the crucial 10 points. Jim Courier also explained how he doesn't feel that the 14-time Roland Garros winner has played at the level he was playing at since before his abdominal injury. Tim Henman also mentioned that he believed Nadal was looking for shortcuts during the second set of his loss to de Minaur, something that you don't necessarily associate with him. And Ben Rothenberg, the statistician, rubbed some salt in Rafa's wounds by pointing out that he's actually going through the worst run results-wise in his career, winning only one of the last 7 matches, and that too was a dead rubber against Casper Ruud in Turin. Rothenberg was brave enough to say that Nadal was not the favorite in Melbourne, but we won't go down that route. Finally, what to expect from Rafa in 2023? Well, the big three have a way of surprising us, so as fans of that era, we can't possibly rule them out. Rafael Nadal may have started the season 0-2, and it may be the first for him, but he's not the type of player who just gives up. His grit and determination have carried him through many other ruts before, and it wouldn't surprise us if he relies on that to pull through from this as well. We expect him to be very much in the mix for the Australian Open. After all, that is a crown he's defending from last season, and while the field has been made stronger with Novak Djokovic's return, the big three has a way of rising for the occasion. Whatever follows after the Australian Open will be very much the same. With injuries and age catching up with Rafa, we suspect he'll manage his game time in 2023, but should still be the man to beat in the majors, especially on Philippe Chatrier in Paris during the Roland Garros 2023 as he chases his 15th crown. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Nadal can win the 15th French Open in 2023? And will he be in the top 5 on the ATP by the end of 2023? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.